Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in. You're watching the Nina and Sup show, and I'm your host Nina, and this is my friend Suparna.
Hi, guys. Welcome to our new show where we talk about the hottest topics, current events, and the hottest trends.
And to kick off our first show, we want to talk about the Netflix series that's not only making people binge, but also sometimes cringe.
I think that's the perfect way to describe it, Nina. And you guessed right, we're talking about Indian matchmaking.
In India, the marriages, they are between two families. So the parents guide their children, and that is the work of a matchmaker.
Let's get right to it. This show is about a top matchmaker named Seema Taparia. She sets out to find life partners for people based not only in India, but also in the US.
I think the cast has a good mix of people. You have Nadia, who's depicted like this little angel, a really sweet girl, and then you have Akshay's mom, Aparna, and Aparna's mom that are a bit in negative light, I would say.
So Nadia set up with Guru, and then she set up with Vinay, and then lastly Shekhar. So Guru, who has his own YouTube channel, actually recently wanted to set the record straight. So he kind of talks about, why it's not going to work out with Nadia. And then on top of it, he also, I'm sure a lot of us were wondering why did he kind of raise his eyebrows when she ordered just one drink during their lunch date. So let's just find out why and what happened.
Yo, why are people hating on me for getting orange juice? Straight up, like, it's a breakfast. Orange juice goes great with eggs. What, should I have gotten coffee? Like, come on. Plus, my dad was an alcoholic. So, why am I being alcohol shamed for not drinking with her when my dad used to drink? And I told Auntie G this, and she was interested. The reason why I wasn't feeling it was because she had no idea who AOC was, and she was a bartender. She became a wedding planner, and I was like, oh, you were like AOC, because AOC went from being a bartender to being a member of Congress. She was like, who's AOC? I was like, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
So yeah, Guru was interesting. So Sips, what would you have to say? Because the one person I found really intriguing was Akshay's mom. And I'm just wondering, as somebody who's grown up in Bombay, what were your views on Akshay's mom?
Um, when I first saw Preeti Auntie on the screen, absolutely horrifying, and somebody I'm so glad I don't have as my mother-in-law. But the truth of the matter, Nina, is that she is somebody that is a true depiction of a lot of women and moms out there, and all that they're looking for is like their little mini versions of themselves for their daughter-in-laws. But the key difference being that the daughter-in-laws must always be subordinate to them. That was what I thought. How about you, Neens? Considering you born and brought up in the States, and recently married to somebody that's Indian in
Yeah,
India.
I think Sips, her behavior doesn't completely surprise me. But I'm pretty sure she has shocked the Western audiences and the non-Indian audiences. I do believe she's definitely stuck in a system, and I think that's the system she grew up in, so that's what she knows. So it's kind of hard to call her a villain when that's just all she knows, pretty much. In a way, I kind of feel like she hasn't moved with the times. She's kind of stuck in that, which we see. Like, it's pretty common to see that here. I think they show kind of a glimpse of her friend circle, right? And I think they're trying to kind of play it off cool, but there's kind of this underlying sense of competition of where their children are in life, right?
Yeah.
I think the sad part of this is that she's always kind of pushing a point where she really wants the girl to be submissive. Like, she says it multiple times that this is her house, her house.
Flexible. Yeah.
So, and it's weird because I don't even think Akshay, I really don't think he's come into his own yet. I don't think he's really developed as a person yet. And I don't think he's ready for marriage. I guess, in short, I didn't feel like he was ready for marriage.
And it
Um,
seems to me like Akshay is somebody who doesn't really know too much about women or girls, and the only woman he knows is his mother. So he's looking for his mother in everyone that he meets, in a way.
yeah. I really think with their storyline was just the perfect example of why Indian society does need to evolve. We need to do better, especially for the women folk.
Yeah, and one of the other things, going to that, where he's looking for someone like his mother is when he meets Radhika for the first time. He's absolutely taken away by her beauty, and he says that a few times as well. But when they actually sit down to talk, Depur, and he asks her, "So where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years?" And she tells him that, considering that she's giving her chartered accountancy exam, she wants to be working the next 5 to 10 years, not sitting at home idle. And then you cut to him and where he's thinking and saying, "Yeah, but then who's going to look after the kids and the house? My mom's the one who's looked after the house, so it's kind of like now she needs to." And that was a really big red flag. But in spite of this, they went ahead.
I think just speaking about pressure and the way different people handle it differently, I think we can move on to Pradyuman. I mean, he is also getting pressured. And I think they mentioned somewhere that he has seen, I think, over 150 biodatas, right? And in that, he hasn't really connected with anyone. And so I think the other thing with him is that his friends and his sister, they all kind of hint at that he's a little bit too obsessed with looks. So I want to ask you, did you notice the difference, the way he treated the girl who was from Jalgaon
Oh my
versus
God.
model
Oh
from
my
Delhi?
God.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, I cannot emphasize that more. I think so. He meets this girl from Jalgaon and he doesn't seem to be putting too much effort into that date. And he kind of is a bit condescending towards Jalgaon, that, oh, it's so disconnected. And she even tells him that that's just because there isn't a direct flight over there, that doesn't mean that it's not connected to anything. And then you move forward to his date with Rushali. She's somebody that's obviously beautiful and very, very attractive. And she kind of ticks off like all the boxes in the vanity checklist that he has, because he always says that he'll only meet people that he's attracted to based on a photograph, I'm assuming. But when he meets her for the first time, he sets this whole date up at the race course with all the horses. So he's done a lot of research, and I don't think he really put in that much effort with the Jalgaon girl.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that's one storyline going for Pradyuman. And meanwhile, I think a lot of people, I mean, from what we've been reading online, we see Pradyuman telling us that his luxurious closet is where the action happens. And meanwhile,
Magic happens.
sorry, where the magic happens. And I think a lot of people were thinking that that's actually the place he needs to come out of. So that was another whole storyline going that people had interpreted. We're not too sure if it's true. Okay, so the next two cast members are a bit controversial. We're talking about Aparna and, of course, her mother. What did you think, Subs?
Oh my God, do you remember when Aparna's mom called that first guy a loser just because he's an author? Like, I was appalled that a grown woman could say something like that.
Well, I mean, we saw a few memes online where they were saying that you shouldn't have given her an axe for her date with Srini. That was a little interesting. But they did offer an explanation. I mean, the show did try to offer an explanation why their behavior was kind of like this, so particular.
I can understand that, being a single parent is really hard. Bringing up two children in a country that you're not from, it's really, really tough. But that isn't, and you want to protect your children from that, of course you do. But there's one thing about protecting them, and there's another thing of cementing them down with your expectations of them, that they get so burdened that they're almost drowning. Yeah. I mean, who tells a 6 and 8-year-old that I never want to see a B on your report card and I don't want 2 but 3 degrees?
Yeah, I think her expectations kind of really weighed Aparna down, and I felt that Rupam's experience was somewhat similar. I felt like she was being weighed down by her father, who showed so much disappointment, right, in her marriage. I do think Rupam was a really great person to cast. That way, they also showed someone who is a divorcee and who also has a child from a previous marriage.
So when they talk about Rupam, I feel that they try to get this other angle in. When she's talking about her family and all of that, she says that she wants a man who'll accept her, would love her as well as her daughter. But then when she's sitting down with Seema and giving her checklist of things that she wants, that isn't on it.
Yeah.
She talks about it, but it's not on her checklist, which I found a little strange.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and I even remember Rupam's case is just so heavy because I remember her father keeps referring to the failed marriage as a blunder. And I mean, I think in a way that's kind of taunting your child. I mean, I don't know. I was feeling very uneasy watching that interaction. Okay, so I think the most relatable character in this was Ankita. For me, I think she was someone I could see myself being friends with. You know, my parents left India before I was born, and then I grew up in New York, and then moved here to Bombay. And for me, Ankita really represents today's India. You know, today's woman. And I kind of didn't like the way the show handled her story because it's almost like they brushed over her because she was too maybe independent. I didn't like that angle. And I also didn't like, I mean, I don't know if you caught this, but do you remember what the matchmaker Geeta did to her?
Yeah, it set her up with the divorcee and
Yeah.
without telling her.
Without
Yeah.
telling her. Yeah.
A couple of things about Ankita. One is that, you know, if she seems like a very open-minded person. I totally get that, you know, Geeta should have told her that the guy that she was meeting comes from a broken marriage. It happens. It's common now. And even the guy should have mentioned it on their first date. But even though they didn't, I don't think that should have been the deal breaker if she genuinely liked and connected with the guy. I thought that could have been a bit of a easy way for her to comp out of the whole thing.
Yeah, I do. I totally agree on that. I mean, they show her as such a confident woman, and I think a lot of that credit goes to her parents. Her parents and her family, I mean, they deserve such a big shout out because I just loved the way they handled the whole situation. And if you notice, they didn't seem the type where marriage was the central focus of their child's life. You know, I feel like they were raising someone who was like fully, you know, I mean, she was just well balanced. I really felt like that.
And the other thing with that was that I get that she doesn't want to pursue a relationship at the moment and she only wants to focus on her career. But the way they kind of portray it is as if it's an either or option. Why can't you have both? Why can't you have a flourishing career as well as a good relationship? You can do both.
I think another cast member who I really liked was Vyasar. And I loved his storyline with the veterinarian. I think it just seemed like they were really gelling and that they were really good together. What were your thoughts on him?
Yeah, he seemed like a really, really nice guy. Somebody you want to just get the biggest teddy bear hug from. You know, the one thing that I noticed is with Seema's NRI clients, there was a big difference between her NRI clients and then her India-based clients. Like for the NRI clients, they weren't talking so much about caste, except for, you know, Rupam and this Punjabi Sikh thing. There wasn't too much focus given on vanity, like they have to be thin or fair and tall and things like that. Whereas the Indian clients were all about, you know, the caste, Marwadi and this and, you know, like that kind of stuff. And I thought for the NRI clients, it wasn't as much.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think barring Richa, the girl that they introduced right at the end, I think she was the only one who shockingly says that she doesn't want someone who's too dark. And I think that was kind of an eye-opener. So people have tweeted so much about the Netflix series Indian Matchmaking.
And some of them are definitely worth a mention.
So Bhumi writes, watched Indian Matchmaking to confirm what I thought I knew about sexism, casteism, and classism in Indian and Indian American marriage markets. Sadly, confirmations confirmed. Go on now. Tell me about how you want someone not too dark. Caste doesn't matter, but must fit our culture.
It's sad, but so true. The other tweet worth a mention is Uday's, where he says, the reason arranged marriage is predominantly a Desi thing is because it is rooted in caste. It is not about finding love. It is about keeping the bloodline pure or other such nonsense. This institution needs to die, not be given a Netflix special.
Yeah, I think I get what Uday is saying, but I also disagree with it in the sense that how will we learn if we are not watching it right in front of us? I think this is kind of a huge wake-up call that things have to change. Look how unfair we're being. I mean, it doesn't reflect today's society at all. We're practicing things from ages ago. So I do think it's time for change, and this is what we learn through this show. So I do understand what Uday is saying, but I also think it's important that it comes to our attention through the show.
Our next tweet comes from Vishaka. Why are people shitting on Indian matchmaking for being sexist and casteist? The show is simply holding a mirror to the ugly society we're a part of. Also, there's an underrated dialogue from the show. It needs more traction.
So yeah, those were some of the top tweets that we really liked for Indian matchmaking.
Okay, guys, so we know a lot of you are dying to know where the cast of Indian matchmaking is. And Nina and I are here to fill you right in.
Yeah, so according to oprahmag.com, none of the couples stayed together. And there's a small spoiler alert, so if you haven't finished season 1, you can tune out now. So Akshay, who they showed at the end of episode 8, they were doing his rope I believe, right? And
Yeah.
actually, I think just a few days after that, they called it off. And I'm just going to read out what Akshay said. Akshay said that there were some things which we found out that did not go down well with us, and I eventually called it off. So I don't know if he finally found out that Radhika is not a replica of his mom or what happened, but that didn't work out.
Also, Vinay Chatta, the character that supposedly ghosted Nadia on the show, has a completely different explanation on his Instagram.
So Vinay writes, fast forward to the movie night. I never ditched her there. The morning of the movie on July 18th, I texted saying I was sick and I didn't want to last minute flake, so I can't come. I thought this was honest, upfront, no BS. She didn't react well. When later in the day, I got an IV and wanted to meet up. She replied, I handled this all wrong too and never once asked if I was okay. I have receipts to prove it. After that day, she ghosted me. The meeting dinner with her friends never happened. I was the one left heartbroken and ghosted. My feelings were real and I never flake without good reason. And if I do, I own it.
Wait, never flake without good reason? When is ever a good reason to be flaky?
I don't know. I'm not too sure about that. But at least he does clear his name, so we know that he's fine. So Nadia recently reacted to this. She just very recently, she recently told the New York Post, I have some messages where I said I don't wish to pursue anything further, and he did keep reaching out, and I ignored him. So if he considers that ghosting, that's fine. Don't be mad at me. I'm not the producer or the person who created the show. I'm a piece of the puzzle, just as you were. Ooh, okay. So I guess that clears that up. I guess she's the one who kind of ended things with him. And it also turns out that our character, Aparna, the one that you find the most intriguing, she actually went on to become friends with Dilip, Jay, and Shekhar, which were some of the people she met through Seema. So do you kind of find it weird that this does not include Srini, the author? Doesn't say that she's friends with Srini, the author.
I'm glad that he came out of that axe bar alive.
I know. That was crazy when the mom called him a loser. Wow. Anyways.
Well, moving on, the article did say that Pradyuman and Rushali swap a lot of likes on Instagram. However, they're not together.
Okay. Well, how can we forget the sweetheart of the show, Nadia? She ended up admitting that after the cameras turned off, so did her chemistry with Shekhar, who kind of did seem like things were going good. And her mom, who also came on their first date, seemed to also like him. But unfortunately, the chemistry just wasn't there. But another relationship that looked promising was Vyasar's.
Yes, so Vyasar and the vet, it didn't really work out with them either.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering because the show never really explained it, but do you remember how they were encouraging Vyasar to share his past or his past with her? but they never
Yeah,
kind of
but
showed
it could be because of that.
Yeah. So actually, Vyasar just a few days ago gave an interview to the HuffPost, where he said, I'm about to read it out. He said, there are a lot of critics too, calling out the show on what I think are very real and very problematic issues like colorism, casteism, and other discriminatory practices endemic to matchmaking. He added, it's been interesting and revelatory to reflect on my own participation on that process and how complicit I am in perpetuating these regressive norms. Vyasar also said he noted the difference between how Seema interacts with her male and female clients. Women in Indian culture are constantly told they should have to adjust, make changes to seem more appealing to a potential match. It happened with Geeta and Ankita, certainly in a rather distressing encounter, but it was also heartbreaking to see Rupam being told her chances were so poor. I really loved her story and shed more than a few tears watching her. Yeah, and it's so important that he actually realizes what is his role in this whole, system. So I think that was really.
Yeah.
But one thing he did say is about Rupam. I mean, talking about Rupam, she found her match off of a dating app, Bumble. And she actually recently said that I don't want to get our hopes up, but this is the first time I've met someone where I feel like all the puzzle pieces really fit together. So maybe not through the matchmaker, but she did find she did find her love. Rupam also praised Seema and found her advice useful, which she would apply to her relationship from Bumble.
I want to talk about Ankita. I think she continues to be a very successful entrepreneur. But I think the one thing that everyone really is after is questioning Geeta's ideology.
Yeah, I'm still wondering, why did Ankita need a life coach? I'm not too worried. I'm not too I don't think I really agreed with that part, but
I think it was kind of show that Seema Auntie not only found spouses for you, but also had pundits, face readers, astrologers,
did a whole
and
meeting.
life coaches, psychiatrists, probably doctors, and everything on board. So you just don't get a spouse; you get everything that comes along the way.
Everything to make you perfect, a perfect match.
To align your stars, because women have to be adjusting and flexible.
Oh gosh.
So what do you think will happen in season 2?
So we were introduced to Richa, who is, I guess, the newest cast member. But I kind of hope they follow up with the others and see where they are with their whole journey with Seema.
I guess we'll just have to wait till it's safe to date again.
Yeah, and we'll also have to wait until it's safe for Seema from Mumbai to fly again. Until next time, guys. We'll see you later.
Catch you next week.